culture is like compound interest. You pour into it, you pour into it, you pour into it. And all of a sudden you realize, oh my goodness, like this is wild. Like this is what I was trying to get to all this time. It just takes time sometimes to really start showing up in the bank account, as it were.
Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of The Necessary Entrepreneur. We should have just captured the last 15 minutes that the conversation that I've had with our guest today, because it was great about world travels and all kinds of different citizenship and if they're a spy family, all those types of things. But today's guest is Sam Eitzen. He's CEO and co-founder of Snapbar. What started as a simple photo booth business built alongside his brother has grown into an experiential marketing platform serving more than 10,000 brands, including Microsoft, Google, and Toyota. Along the way, Sam's navigated multiple business pivots. What do you know? Survived the collapse of the events industry during COVID, earned a spot on the Inc. 500 list, and helped transform Snapbar into an AI-powered company. Welcome to 2026. So raised in Morocco, fluent in Arabic, French, Spanish, Sam brings a unique perspective on entrepreneurship, leadership, resilience, and innovation. So Sam, welcome to the show, man.
Nice to be here, Mark. Yeah, thank you very much.
Man. Yeah, the 15 minutes was great conversation. So let's just jump right in. So I interrupted you because we were having a good conversation. And I just said, man, being a guy who's 38 years old, when you're 58, you won't want to admit age, but 38 is still young in my book.
Yeah.
So I just said that no wonder all the experiences, parents from different nationalities, all the countries that you've traveled to, already having a family, living in the U.S., living in England at times, being raised in Morocco. I said, someone who goes through all those experiences, you're guaranteed to come out like you. And you laughed at that.
Yeah.
But what I mean also is that you're going to have a resilient mindset, because you're always in new and uncomfortable places and dealing with someone that maybe you haven't dealt before. And so I'm sure you'll talk about the complexity of that and we can go into it, but I'm sure that's built a resilient characteristic inside of yourself.
Yeah, it has. So right before we started recording, I said, I agree with you, and the but is simply, I think that that's absolutely the result you will get when you mix those things together, except that a lot of my friends are not like me, or a lot of the friends I grew up with are not like me. And there's different family, different personalities, different, experiences, etc. But one of the big things that I really appreciate what my parents did is they put us into regular life. So I did not go to an American school. I was not homeschooled. I was not even in like a fancy private school. We were in Moroccan and French schools. They have a lot of French schools in Morocco because it used to be a colony. Or I don't know about colony, but French used to rule Morocco. And so that was something I think that really helped, because I was forced to adapt to a different culture, get it comfortable being different, feeling different, figuring out similarities, how to talk to people that are very different than you, etc. Some of my friends that were homeschooled, some of my friends that went to like the American kind of schools in the bigger cities, whether they were diplomat kids or military kids, or whatever, didn't have as much of that experience. Most of their friends in Morocco were Americans or French kids or British kids or whatever, and they didn't assimilate. And of course, they still have incredible stories, and many of them still turned out to be incredible, interesting people. But I think that some of the entrepreneurial kind of gusto that I have and some of what I experienced was because I was kind of thrown into what some parents probably be worried about. But my parents were not, and they felt that us kids could kind of figure it out. And we grew up riding our bikes in the streets till really late and playing soccer. Our house was not a fancy house. We lived like amongst Moroccans. All of our friends were Moroccans. So I think that was a really cool experience. I don't know what you'd call it, but like immersion into a different culture and really getting used to like being different and understanding how to adapt, I think was a big part of it.
Do you think about like how that sets you up now for success differently in this new world of technology where it's brought the whole world together? Do you think that's something that your parents, they couldn't have projected this forward 38 and 40 years?
No.
But how are you benefiting now because of that? And then we'll go into it. Well, then if we didn't experience it, then what do we do? So that's two things together, right? So if you can wrap those together, and let's go there.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. I think that it definitely played a part. And I don't think it's just me. I mean, my dad is in his 60s. and he is learning how to use AI. And he asks my brother and I questions about it. So it wasn't, so not only, and I, naturally, like, I think that like it's something you pick up not only from your family, like being open to change, being able to adapt, not being worried about this like tidal wave of new information that's hitting you every day. Credit to him. But I think honestly, just like the environment that you grow up in, when you're used to constant, unpredictable change, you become a little bit more comfortable with it. And you realize, okay, like you get good at adapting. And adapting doesn't mean you love it all the time or that you're really good at it. It just means like you figure out your place in this new world. You don't have to become an AI expert to have a place in this new world of AI, but you do have to generally understand it. You can't be afraid of it or overly paranoid that it's going to ruin your life. You have to make the most of it. And we did that. I mean, I am not a tech guy, even though I now run an AI tech company. I don't know how to write code, even though now I kind of am able to write code using AI. But we're learning, we're pivoting, adapting. And I think a ton of it is traced back to like my childhood where I grew up, being comfortable doing that in a lot of non-tech situations of just like figuring out, okay, how do I get around the city? Don't know the language, but if you were paralyzed because you don't know the language, you're not going to get anywhere, right? You have to figure it out. And when I was a kid, it's not like Moroccans spoke a ton of English. I mean, they do now. They're very smart people, and tourism has like made it so that they speak all sorts of languages. But like when I was a kid, no one really spoke English or didn't feel like it they did. And so you had to be like, all right, well, I've got to learn the language. And I did. Like I spoke Arabic just at the same time I started speaking English as a 3-year-old.
Did you speak it because of your previous word, immersion?
Yeah, 100%. I was not taught Arabic in the traditional sense because the street dialect I grew up speaking called Darija is not even written or read. They don't teach it in schools. So I literally picked it up just hanging out with kids.
Can you go to a lot of the Arabic-speaking countries now and understand and converse?
No, unfortunately. That's the crazy part. It's very different. So like I was just at the Belgium-Egypt game, the World Cup game here in Seattle, and there was some Egyptian guys sitting in front of me and they were speaking to each other, and I could pick up like a couple of words every once in a while, but a lot of it I couldn't. And if I spoke in Darija, which I'm rusty in now, I don't know how much they'd pick up some words, but wouldn't be able to understand me perfectly either.
What's this? Yeah. But what's funny is if you would have attempted to speak to them,
yeah,
they would have recognized, they would have looked at you different.
Yeah, for sure. So before the game, as we're walking to the game, I got a breakfast sandwich and at this place in Seattle, and we were hanging outside these doors to Fairmont residences. That just happens to be where this like breakfast sandwich place is. And a guy comes out and he's like, "Hey, you guys want to sit in here?" And he like, because you can't get into these doors, we just wanted a place to sit. We're like, yeah, sounds great. So we go sit in this like weird lobby of the Fairmont residences. And he says, "You guys here for the game?" I say, "Yes." I was like, "Who are you rooting for?" He says, "Morocco." And I start talking to him Arabic, and he's like, what is going on? Like and he told me, he's like, you sound like Moroccan, like you sound really good. And I do. I'm super rusty. Like it doesn't just come to my brain fluidly anymore. But when I speak Arabic, I don't know.
It's like we would have an accent. You probably hear an accent with me. I don't hear 100%. It, but you probably do. And so we're both speaking English, but you're like,
right.
Wow, you speak it like that area. That's probably what he's talking about.
Yeah, 100%. And I do speak more like a Moroccan than most Moroccans have ever heard, just because, again, I grew up. It's not something that, like, if you learned Arabic today, if you applied yourself and learned it, I think that you could get great at it. But you'd still probably sound different than me, in a sense, right? Just because it wasn't like your tongue didn't move that way when you were 3 years old, if that makes sense. And it doesn't matter. And so I speak French too, Spanish less. So I studied for a couple of years, but it's similar to French. But when I speak French, same thing. Like I can roll the R's very well. And all my friends make fun of me when I say croissant, not croissant, and it's just funny. Yeah.
So what do we make in this world of business and human connectivity that when that person felt that you were a part of who they were, you had a different interaction?
Mm-hmm. Very true. And sorry, so the question being like, how do you think that applies or translates over?
Because I come from a sales perspective, right?
Okay.
And I know if you can make a connection with someone.
Yeah.
I'm always looking for something that we have similar, right? Something you love, something from a family background, something. And it seems like when someone believes that about you, makes that connection, they like you more. They're more open to doing business with you. But the same thing happened when that person realized This person, even though they know nothing about you,
Yeah, that's right.
this person, they're similar to me.
Yeah. Yeah. When you have shared experiences with other people, I think that that is a pretty powerful point of connection. I actually don't think it always has to happen. So like culturally, of course it happens, but like I was never a guy in sports. I don't know if you were, but like guys that were in sports, when they see their like teammates from years ago, there's like this, or in the military, I have my military friends, like there's this instant connection. There's this brotherhood. It's like we were in the trenches together, not literally, right? It might be the trenches of Morocco, if you can use it, the trenches of a team playing football, the literal trenches in a military situation. But that idea of like, we were together, we kind of understand some of the whatever it might be. I think events do that to people. I think there's a lot of stuff. I mean, people make connections over loving the same kind of beer or wine, or like, I mean, right? And you can kind of like, you're sitting somewhere and you're like, oh my gosh, they just ordered my favorite cocktail. And now you strike up a conversation. You talk about your favorite bourbons or something like that. And it's like, look at us. We now have this like tiny little bit. Well, when that goes deeper than like, we both like the same bourbon, I think it can be powerful. There's like this implicit trust that forms. And in the world of sales and business, trust is massively valuable and probably, well, I would say, I'm curious for your perspective, but like I think it's underrated how much trust plays a part in business. I think people try to swap their way. I don't know. I think people don't respect trust enough and how important that can be.
You know how we make these big definitive statements, like all of us, if you're in a leadership position, we're like, this is the most important thing.
Yeah.
And like a Jim Rohn, like the guru of self-improvement back in the day, he said, the only thing that matters is your personal philosophy. Like that's a big statement. And so I say all that to say, when you say, hey, I don't know what you feel about trust, I think it's really, really, really important. Like really important. What's funny is someone said to me the other day, when we're trying to solve all these really fast problems now in 2026, sometimes it can feel like it is a pinball machine. But I actually said, hey guys, this isn't pinball, this is juggling. And you've got to keep them all in the air at the same time. And so pinball's one ball jumping around. And so I say that to say, trust is one of these pillars that, like, for example, my real estate company opened up in Florida, and we become licensed, we open a little office, you put boots on the ground, you do some business, you learn the topography and the geography. And then I look for the person to operate and build. And I just found a husband and wife team that are going to be the foundation of the real estate company in Sarasota, which is on the Gulf Coast. But I've known them for a decade. I've had business relationships with them, personal relationships with them, and I've kind of been setting it up for the past 2 or 3 years. If you put yourself in a spot where you're just a really trustworthy person at every level in life, you're not looking, how's this relationship going to benefit me? You're always looking like, how can I put them forward? How can I help in any way? Things change in everyone's life. And when they're looking for a good opportunity, if you're a business person that you have it, they're going to think about you.
Yeah, agreed.
And they are ecstatic about doing, what they said to me was, because what I've learned is you can do contracts and non-competes and all that stuff, but when you can't trust someone, none of that matters, right?
No, 100%.
And so what they said, they're 55 now, and they said, hey, we're giving you the next decade. And I just know, there's not many people, because you would think your best friend wouldn't screw you over. They can screw you over. But I just know that they're so trustworthy, I can take it to the bank.
Yeah, that's cool. That's awesome.
But that's rare, isn't it? What I just said is really rare.
No, very rare, yeah.
In those situations.
Oh, 100%. Yeah.
Right?
I mean, our business story is interesting, and trust is a big part of it. And it's even just not even personal trust, which I think is very important. I mean, clearly more, but like even brand trust is important. It's one of the things that has like us. It's why even though our company looks nothing like it did 14 years ago, we still have the same name, because I'm like, well, it might not fit perfectly with what we're doing now, like we thought it did in the beginning, but people know that we don't screw them over. They know that our customer service is good. They know that, on and on. And so I'm like, well, it helps. I mean, it really does. Like, people trust the brand.
Yeah, you get to define what that is, because if I hear Snapbar, before I know what it is, I'll start building, like, what do I think it is? Doesn't matter what I think it is. If you build the narrative and the brand, you're going to tell me what it is.
Yeah, exactly. And then or you'll hear it from someone and it'll be in a positive light, not a negative light, or whatever that might be. And it's the same thing for people. I mean, yeah, it's the same thing for people. You work in events, for example, and I'm positive this is the same in building, real estate, construction, right? There's vendors where you're like, yeah, they might be a little bit more expensive, but they're going to get it done. They're going to get it done right. And there's also like, you very quickly hear about the people that, yeah, they'll get the job done, but maybe they're late, or maybe this thing, or there's one person on their team that's very cantankerous, whatever the situation, like that kind of stuff travels quickly. You end up not wanting to do those builds, don't want to do those events. You get a little nervous about working with that client again, so on and so forth. And I mean, we've literally not pursued money that could have been in the bank with clients because it's like, well, the last time we did this, everyone on my team hated it. Why? Like, are we really going to put ourselves through that pain again just for this kind of outcome? Like, probably not worth it.
In the beginning, though, with you and your brother, when you're first starting a business, don't you say yes to everything and take anything?
Yeah, we definitely did. Yes.
And that's when you earn, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So the talk about this entrepreneurial journey, about see if there's something we can take away and learn. I touched on a little bit of it in the intro, but give us the A to Z of where you started, where you're at right now. See if you can do it in a couple minutes.
Yeah. Okay. 14 years ago, we stumbled into owning a photo booth unit, like an old school, not a mall one, but like a wooden box that you and a group of people would stand in front of. That became a side gig. We ran it for 3 years. Then we went full time, built our second one, looked like garbage, but whatever, we figured it out. Then built some more, and eventually, like, fast forward, we kind of went from like a photo booth side gig to a photo booth full time to, and kind of it was weddings to like parties to then like corporate parties, then to conferences and the whole world of B2B events. And that's what we ended up in 2020. We were one of the largest photo booth companies, or sometimes people call us like a photo experience company, because sometimes it didn't even look like a traditional photo booth. And we do CES or Coachella or sporting events or Microsoft conference or a 200-person medical convention. I mean, it doesn't matter. If they want some type of photo moment, we were there. We wanted to be the Starbucks of photo booth companies because events move around. And once you have a trusted relationship with a vendor in Seattle, why not use the same vendor in San Francisco, in LA, in New Orleans, in Las Vegas? Problem is, you're not usually there. You're in Seattle. So that's the idea of the Starbucks of these photo experience companies. COVID wrecked that idea, or we didn't wreck it, but it was very difficult to do that for a couple of years. So we had to pivot a few different times, pivoted into a totally separate business called Keep Your City Smiling that did really well. We kind of went, I didn't say it went viral, but we were in the news, featured in New York Times and Forbes and all this cool stuff. And that saved the company. It was like the bridge monetarily that we needed to not shut Snapbar down. And during that bridge period, we built our very first piece of software. And that software ended up doing really well. It exposed us to this kind of a whole new world of opportunity. And we went all in. We burned the ships, as it were. So we got out of our offices, got out of our warehouse leases. We sold hundreds of our photo booth units and basically wound down the entire logistics heavy operation and became a tech company. At our peak in 2020, we were about 45 people. Now we're 8 full time, and we really like it. It's fun. We're an AI company now. I can explain kind of what those platforms are if we want to, but that was the transition.
Yeah, we got all the time. I said we can go for another half hour, but I'll stay as long as you want to. Let's go.
No, it's like, so the software that ended up working really well for us when everything pivoted to online, right? Everything was online while we were all stuck at home during the pandemic. Events did too. So your regular event, your conference became a virtual conference, and your whatever, stuff like that. Well, we just built, after a client asked us, hey, does any of your photo booth stuff work on the internet? We said, it got us thinking, what if it did? Like, what if you could take a photo from your computer, but in a way that integrated with the virtual event? And we just called it a virtual photo booth. And at the time, there's this technology that just had come out a couple of years earlier called WebRTC. Won't get into it, but it just allows you to take a photo. It's probably actually what's running this recording right now. The ability in a browser,
if you want.
Exactly, right? And so all our software did was change out the background, put like a branded overlay. You could add some props or some stickers. Again, this was 6 years ago. It's like, oh, cool. Look, you just took a photo booth picture from home, and there's 3,000 of you at this virtual conference that's super boring. I mean, like, I can remember, I don't know if you were part of any of those during the pandemic, but like, my goodness, like they're just like the worst. Sitting on your couch.
What are we doing?
Yeah. And we kind of fit into this like engagement factor, because if you're consuming content for 3 days at this conference, like they were just looking for anything that would make it interesting or fun or like experiential. And virtual photo booths fit the bill. So we had some of our best sales months after this kind of product got some steam, and we realized, like just from a pure entrepreneurship perspective, I was like, this was one of our best sales months ever. It took like 5 of us to run it, not 45. We didn't have any gear involved. We sent them a link. They opened it up on their virtual event platform. And that was it. Like, we didn't have to be there. We didn't have to travel anywhere. We didn't have to deal with like staffing. It was just like the profit margins were through the roof compared to our old business. I kind of had this like moment of realizing software is the solution for everything. And this is before I actually got into building it and realized it has its own slew of problems. But that was a fun moment. And that's kind of what got us down this path. So today we have 2 platforms, and they're both originate in this idea that like, oh, from a web browser, you can do a lot of stuff with photography, video. One of them is a product called Scale Headshots. And it's what it sounds like. It is for organizations to scale headshots, like physical headshots. But instead of you having that, most people's headshots for badges, for a website, for business card don't need like a professional photographer setting up a studio in this day and age. So that business it stands on its own, and the brand stands on its own. And it's like, we sell to HR admins and people like that need to solve headshots at scale. We got we got clients with 40,000 employees in there, and it's kind of part of their system. We've got an API that they plug in. And so when you're onboarded, you get an invitation, take your headshot, then they can tie it to your account. You get your badge printed, all that kind of stuff. And then on the flip side, this is kind of more core to our roots in events. We have what we call like an experiential marketing platform, or what other people call like an audience engagement platform. Think of what photo booths do in the world of business. It's 3 things. You go to a conference, let's say it's a real estate conference, because that's the industry you're in, and you walk up to some brand that maybe wants to get your attention. They say, hey, Mark, check out this cool thing. You can turn yourself into, like in a traditional photo booth sense, it'd be like, come take a photo in our photo booth. Okay, maybe you decide to. In that moment, they're trying to capture your lead information. If it's a trade show, they're like scanning your badge or maybe your email address. And then they're hoping, fingers crossed, that you take that photo that you took in their little booth and you post it online. And you're like, here I am at this real estate conference having a great time, right? That's the dream, but it's like user-generated content's valuable. In that transaction, if you want a photo, they get your lead information. That's the whole business model. So that's what we do now for experiential marketing, audience engagement. We create all sorts of photo, video-based products and some non-photo video stuff that gets you to be interested. Somehow they interact with you. In that process, they get your lead information, and you get some type of content that you're incentivized, or they can incentivize you to share, to post online.
Do you think that, so now you've become a tech company utilizing AI, but you've done it around what the original origin of your business was?
Yes.
Did you hear recently what came out this week about the shoe company, New Bird?
Yeah.
Yeah. They are now going to become an AI.
Yeah.
A full AI company.
From Allbirds to Smartbird, I think was the transition. Yeah, I posted a meme to my LinkedIn.
From Allbirds to New Bird. They're calling it New Bird AI.
Is it New Bird? I thought it was Smartbird, but you're right. Yes, no, 100%. And they're getting into data centers, and it's wild.
So that's not even a shoe company. So this is the reality of 2026. You took a brand that, it was worth tens of millions, maybe 100, a high revenue number. And they are complete.
Our business? Oh, no, sorry. Allbirds was like huge.
Huge.
At their peak, they were like $4 billion on the stock market, I'm pretty sure, something crazy like that. Yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy. And so what do we make of that? So you guys stayed within your business, utilized it to escalate. Their board we're getting out of the business we're in and becoming an AI company.
Yeah.
I'm trying to wrap my head around that.
Well, okay, so I'm an Allbirds fan, funny enough. I think I might have owned their stock back in the day, sold it. But I think that was a move out of some version of desperation to save, because they had plummeted, they'd cratered as an equity. And as you know, like in the world of apparel and stuff, like brands go in and out of style very quickly. And so there was a period of time that everyone needed Allbirds, and that time is over, right? Well, I don't know what the new shoe is, but same thing happened. So I think part of it might have been desperation. But here's where but desperation is not necessarily always a bad reason to pivot. I mean, it's the reason we pivoted, and it ended up being really good for us. And so I think the process that you go through, whether you're a $4 billion shoe company that has kind of hit hard times, or a tiny little startup that now can't do events, is like, okay, well, what resources do we have available? What does our team look like? Where does the industry seem to be going? Like, where is there opportunity? What did we love about the previous business? What did we hate about it? Right. And you kind of put together this amalgamation of like data points of like, we think we can be pretty good at this. We hated doing that. Here's where the industry seems to be going. We're going to get a ton of press about this, because who's ever heard of a shoe company turning into an AI company? That's like an asset. Just the fact that it's so crazy that people write about it. You put all this together, and maybe you have some really good relationships with some investors, and I mean, it's a crazy pivot. A lot of people made fun of them, but like crazier things have happened, and they might make it work. Who knows? I mean, they made the shoe company work, and that was a pretty wild gamble on like, what was it? Like New Zealand wool shoes, like, or whatever that was. Like, so yeah, I don't see desperation as a negative thing. I think desperation in hard times is like the mother of invention, right? Or I don't know if that's the actual quote, but like it produces some pretty helpful thinking when you feel like, okay, I can't operate normally. What do I have to do to change things?
Yeah, I don't think if we take this to the core reality of being a human, survival is not a bad thing.
No, not at all.
What can you now build 3-year plans and 5-year plans, business plans? Can you build these?
No. I mean, I don't know who would be building that right now, to be completely honest, unless you are like an Apple, maybe, but and that you're going to be building the iPhone 5 years from now. Okay, fine. We don't even have 3-month plans at Snapbar anymore. I mean, that's not true, but like generally it doesn't go far beyond 3 to 6 months. And we used to have much longer plans, but things are moving so quickly. It's just kind of incredible. It's insane. I mean, we are building products using AI, like vibe coding, but not in the sense that vibe coding is like cheap and weird and not working. Like our CTO is brilliant. He talks on AI. He's got a YouTube channel with tens of thousands of followers. They listen to him about AI, and like he's built a very good system for us being able to contribute to the code base. And so we have 3 non-engineers at Snapbar contributing actively to the code base with automated testing, and he does minimal review. And like, if I want to create a feature and launch it next week, I could do it. I mean, I could create an entire sub product in our experiential marketing platform and launch it. We just did that this past week. Literally had the idea, started working on it on Monday. It's in the code base. It has some refinement to do, but like a couple of days. This genuinely would have taken us months and months to roll out. We probably would never have rolled it out.
Yeah, you may not have allocated the revenue to do it.
Yeah, no. Yeah, we're bootstrapped, and we like being a small company. We definitely wouldn't have allocated the resources to do it.
Yeah. So what role right now, because you talked about your CTO, you talked about how brilliant he is, and what role do you see AI agents playing in this?
Yeah, well, I mean, agents are the thing that are building most of our products right now, right? So the way that we talk about agents at Snapbar is not, I mean, people throw the word agent around a lot, but like for anyone who's not like deep into the world of AI, just think of it as like a team member, an employee, right? That's what an agent is. They have specialized roles. You can ask them to do specific and different tasks. You can kick off a bunch of agents on a bunch of different projects. Just like if you're a manager, you can kick off a bunch of team members to work on a ton of different projects. The clearer your instructions to an agent, the clearer the end goal, the better the results. That's not unlike running a team of people. If you've ever managed someone, that's pretty, like, it's good to be clear with them. It's good to manage them well. It's good to give them an end goal and what you expect. I mean, literally, like when you are using agents with Claude, there's a new, you can click /goal and define an end goal. And so before before Fable was banned by the US, I don't know if you heard about that, right? Like there was this crazy, we were using it last week. And our CTO, who spent a lot of time building out our platform, gave it a goal to find 50 bugs in the system, 50 loopholes. I mean, these can be tiny things. That was the goal. Like, well, it found 131 in the span of a 5-hour stretch where it like worked its butt off. Then over the weekend, it was, we lost access, but we've literally 131 bugs, and we fixed them all already. Like it is a lot of small stuff, but like it's pretty wild.
Why do you think they banned it? Because of the concern of the banks? That's who came together a few weeks ago when
Yeah.
they called a late night meeting.
Yeah. I mean, who
Is
knows
there
what the
something
real
deeper?
reasons are?
Yeah, is there something deeper?
I think I heard this guy that I really like online on LinkedIn explain it this way. His name's Nick Gray. He said, the way to understand how dangerous some of these things are is like that you are like, imagine I'm a robber and I'm trying to do something harmful to you. Well, there's like a million different pieces to like my plan, right? And by harmful, I mean like, let's say I want to steal, I want to get access to your bank account and drain all your funds. Well, but I'm not a hacker. So like, what do I do? Maybe the first thing I do is I like track your car. So I put a little thing in your car. And so now I'm tracking where you drive around. And the next thing I do is I try to figure out like, okay, I need to get like, a figure out what kind of lock he uses at his house. I'm putting together all these different pieces and I have to be so deliberate about it. And the end result, if I, for example, I mean, I'm speeding through kind of what he wrote out, track your car, know your lock, get some type of like, key fob that you use at your local gym. When you're at the gym, get into your locker, grab your phone, but leave your phone so you don't cancel your accounts, but somehow get into your phone to like, look at this and then like on and on and on, all these steps so that I finally somehow am able to brute force into your bank account and drain it, if that was even possible. Or let's say I knew you were into crypto, like this huge series of steps, all of them by themselves not very dangerous. Like me putting a tracker on your car doesn't seem like the end of the world, but like is like Fable or Mythos, like supposedly they were just so good at finding, say, 130 bugs in our code base. All of them seemed small, but, and we don't know this, we didn't ask for it to discover this, but like, what if 35 of those bugs could be pinged off of each other in a way that kind of allows for some brute force attempt? When people supposedly like it's, it was shut down because a team found out how to jailbreak it, basically to get around some of the stuff that they put in place. Is that true?
Yeah.
I have no idea. But the idea, the power behind some of these systems, what makes them powerful in general, whether to code or to do nefarious things, is that it's not just like, oh, that it can like go through and that humans are stupid and they couldn't find these bugs, but the AI is brilliant and it can. No, it's that like, yeah, humans can find a lot of the bugs, so can AI. But what takes humans a lot longer to do is to weave this very fine thread between about 35 of them or something like that and find this like mechanism of entry to a system that just would not occur naturally. Like we might all be able to look at the same data patterns, but that's one thing that AI is. It's a pattern recognition. It's a pattern system, right? That's how it produces the words, is patterns that you like are when you're chatting with it, it's predicting what's going to come next based on patterns it understands. That's the thing that makes it so crucial or so dangerous and so crucial in certain systems. And so, yeah, is it true that it's that good? I do believe it's that good. What people were going to do with it as a result, if someone did jailbreak it, who knows? I have no idea.
Yeah.
I'm sure there's so many other reasons.
It's almost as if with that system, because they'll continue refining it, there'll be more of them that come online. They'll be built privately. Nobody will know they have them. Like that. They go ahead and take two of them in the market system. The issue is if those two aren't out, there's going to be 100 private ones they don't know about.
100%. Yeah, I mean, it's just a matter of time.
That's it. So it's almost as if with that system, I'm thinking about it. I wish we could remove politics away from all this, because when I invoke Elon, people try to make it political. Until 2 years ago, nobody was making it political about the guy. And so,
I know.
But it's as if we're all Elon with these systems. Because if you heard Mark Andreessen talking about him, everybody says, what makes these people so special? And he said something, I've been talking about this a lot recently. He said, being around him, he takes the like 3 most significant problems in his business and he solves them that week.
Yeah.
And so if that truly happens, we all take 6 months to solve a big problem a lot of times. And so if it happens, the compounding factor of him solving problems, 152 problems every year, are you kidding me? That's going to outpace everyone.
Yeah.
And so using AI, maybe it'll allow us to all have the brain of Elon with also still being nice to people, maybe.
Yeah, I mean, the guy is gifted in that sense. I mean, I've observed him for a long time. I'm a big fan of the companies he builds, regardless of the political
Who cares?
stuff that he got into.
Because
That.
I'm like,
No,
why
yeah,
are we doing that?
he's
As a
just
kid, as a kid, man, like I just want to get back to this place of like your religion and your politics, those things that you believe are irrelevant to me. Like, what are you doing as a human?
yeah, yeah, yeah. I
That's
mean,
it.
and they don't have to be. I would say they don't even have to be irrelevant. They just don't have to like make you feel differently towards somebody. They are
Right on.
because they are relevant to everyone. But that's like just because something's relevant to you and not relevant to
But it
me
doesn't
doesn't
have
mean
to
that
be to
all of a
me.
sudden we have this massive. Oh, exactly, right, exactly.
That's what I'm
It's
saying. Yeah, it
like,
doesn't have to. I
yeah,
don't
yeah,
need to judge. And so I'm like, you know what, guys, we need to play in our own little sandbox here because if that's the world that we're creating, then they're going to do it to us too.
yeah.
I don't
I
want
learn
that
all
world.
sorts of stuff. I learn so much stuff from people I don't agree with. So much
Yes.
stuff. I love
Yeah.
learning from people that I don't agree with. That's usually it's the best way to learn is actually from people that you don't agree with because they have different perspectives and insights that you don't have. It's
That's
like
it.
growing up in a different culture. I don't love everything about every other culture on the planet, but there's a lot that I do,
Right on.
and you learn from it. And so I don't think, yeah, I don't know why.
How'd you get
I
there?
don't know why.
Is that what we're talking about? You have to have that ego death to get there.
I don't know, man. I mean, I feel like I have an ego sometimes. So I'm not the most humble person. I genuinely want to improve. I want to get better. I don't think I have all the solutions. I don't think like American culture is the best. I don't think my business is better than every other business. I don't think I'm smarter than every other person. So because I genuinely think there's other value out there, right? I don't think I don't think that there's like some perfect
Control of the truth. One
standard
person doesn't
of
have. Yeah.
I don't think that there's like a perfect business. I don't think there's a perfect person. I don't think there's a perfect culture. So if that's the case, then there's a lot that I can pick up from a lot of different things to create something new, something that I like. So like the culture of my family is probably very different than the culture of your family. And I've kind of put it together with my wife and our kids, like to its own little thing. We have our own little family culture here. And it might be, and it pulls from a lot of things that I like in literally other family cultures, different country cultures. The reason we travel a lot as a family to try to like broaden our horizons and it's genuinely the reason I travel with my kids and we homeschool is because I wanted them to be exposed to like a lot of different ideas, a lot of different businesses, a lot of different languages and cultures and people. I think that in the future, like that's going to be, if it's already important, I think it's only going to grow more important because the world seems to be like more and more polarized. And so people that are able to like see past the polarization and actually like work in a lot of different circles, I think it's going to be a superpower.
So with saying all that, it allows me to go to ask a deep question. What matters?
To me, to me. Okay. So I happen to be a Christian, so my faith matters. I love my family. They matter a lot to me. My health matters a lot to me because it allows me to do things that I really care about with with my kids, with my friends, with my family. Those things matter to me. I used to be incredibly ambitious about business. Business matters to me. It's the way I provide for my family, but I had a level of ambition that crippled me. I ended up becoming so obsessed with the success of the business that when it did well, I was on cloud nine. And when it did poorly, I really struggled and ended up getting wildly stressed out. And at one point, even had kind of like a panic attack during the pandemic when our business was plummeting very rapidly to its imminent death before we pivoted. And so I care a lot about business. Obviously, I'm an entrepreneur. I love entrepreneurship. But like for me, yeah, I care a lot about those first three things I mentioned.
Hmm. That's funny. That evolution, you never could have projected this being the 38-year-old Sam, could you, in those moments?
No, not at all. I'm a very different person today than I was when I was 28 and different at 28 than I was at 18. It's like this evolution of who you are as a person, what you believe, how you think, what you value in your family. My actions today are very different than they were at 18. You know, I'm not the same person.
So how would you mentor? You have 8 employees now, I believe, right?
Yeah, 8, including me, so 7. And technically two of them are co-founders now, so whatever. There's 8 of us
But
total.
8 of you together then. So
Yeah.
how do you think about this now being 38 and being so deep into this entrepreneurial journey? Do you think about how you lead and mentor others? Because that could be the 18-year-old Sam and the 28-year-old Sam.
Yeah, 100%. I think about it a lot. One of the things that I, I like the closest thing I've ever had to like a saying that I say to my team, and I haven't said it in a hot minute. So thank you for reminding me. I said it a lot over the course of the past 5 years when we were getting through some really difficult times. Probably the hardest 5 year stretch was from 2020 to 2025, just because of all the ups and downs and the pivots and the team. It was like I'd say culture is like compound interest, right? And anyone who understands compound interest like understands then where I'm going with this, which is that you pour into it for a long time, not understanding, sometimes actually feeling like, gosh, this is a waste of time. I probably could get things done faster if I was like, say, leading out of fear, or with fear as a mechanism of control, or with, greed as a mechanism of control, or whatever the case may be. But culture, like compound interest, you pour into it, you pour into it, you pour into it. And all of a sudden you realize, oh my goodness, like this is wild. Like this is what I was trying to get to all this time. It just takes time sometimes to really start showing up in the bank account, as it were. And so when it comes to mentoring, I don't see myself so much as like a mentor because I still feel pretty young and some of my team members are older than I am. But I think about it a lot. It's like, what kind of culture do I want? Again, I talked about it as like in the country perspective. I talked about it in my family. I think about it in the business as well. Like, what kind of business culture do we want? And in that process, like I've done a lot of work to try to make people feel very safe. Like genuinely, not like Sam's never going to get upset at me or I could not be fired from Snapbar, but like safe as in like I'm honest with them. I want them to be honest with me. I really like them. I'm understanding of their humanity, of the fact that like I have days that I don't want to work. They, just generally like make them feel safe, heard, listen to them. Like actually, if I can, I'm not even great at this. Like I don't think I'm actually that great of a manager, but I've tried to create like this culture, like that piece. But also at the same time, like we work hard, we innovate. We're not afraid to like burn the ships, as it were, and like jump into something new. I was pretty concerned when my co-founder, my brother, who's a co-founder, and then our CTO, who's brought on as co-founder, we were like, we really want to get into AI, like deeply. Like we think that we should become an AI company. This was a couple of years ago when AI was first coming on board. Well, AI doesn't have like the best reputation, right? It doesn't take a genius to see that. Like there's a lot, I mean, I think in polling, like there's more people that hate the idea of it than like the idea of it.
Yeah, the CEO of Google, right? They just had hundreds of students walk out on him in the in the speech and graduate at Stanford.
Yep. It's a polarizing technology. I was like, well, what's that going to be like? But we think that this is where we need to be as a company. So how do we get the whole team to be just as not obsessed, but like really like AI native, as it were? Like we're going all in. We're really like our workflows are changing. Our product is changing. Everything about our company is going to change because we're going to like embrace some of this AI technology. And hey, in the process, we'll learn where it's lacking. It's not going to go perfectly. But anyways, this was something I was a little bit scared about. Like, I wonder how this is going to go. And it took time. I'm just like not forcing people to use AI tools, which is like very much the standard right now in corporate America of like, here you go, use this thing. I don't want you to do what you used to do, but like coaxing people into it. Some people didn't love the idea of it. I was like, okay, fine. Like, how about you just like take the worst part of your job, try to automate it using AI. The worst part, the thing that you hate, that you would love if I took off your plate and gave to someone else, just spend time trying to focus that. Keep doing the other stuff manually. And then they begin to experiment. And you almost like begin to like, baby steps, as it were, into this idea. Like, oh, okay, that's cool. Like now I understand the tool about, I mean, that's also like part of the business culture, like not forcing people to do something, but like genuinely trying to like get them to understand the reasons. I don't know if you have kids, but like same thing with raising kids, right? You can force them to try really hard at a sport, or you can like try to grow a love for the game in them, which is going to make them be a lot more interested in what they are doing and how they're performing. I've done this I have a 15-year-old son. He's really into mountain biking, and I used to try so hard to get him to work out. I was like, he rides all the time. I was like, you gotta like work out, strengthen your legs, like get your fitness dialed, like from a cardio perspective. Didn't work. But and I say try so hard. We were careful not to like push too hard on that because I thought he might end up hate mountain biking. So I never forced him to do it. I would just I would ask him, I'd remind him, I'd try to even incentivize him. Wouldn't do it. But he loved mountain biking, kept going. Then all of a sudden, like literally overnight, he like is using AI to build his own workout plan. He's in the gym. He's going on runs. He completed a half marathon, and he's just like his progression like skyrocketed and he placed sixth in the state in his cross country mountain biking in his category. Not because of me. I mean, maybe I had something to do with it, but genuinely, it's like because we created this culture where like he still just loved mountain biking. Yes, we wanted him to perform well. We thought that he could do better a lot of races if he had only followed our advice to do X, Y, and Z. So I try to do that in the company as well.
Do you think that I was just listening again to Ted Turner's biography or autobiography? I was listening to it on Spotify or something. The guy who founded CNN, and I think that's his
I
name,
have
right?
not listened to that.
Yeah, so I
don't know.
right? Yeah, TNT, CNN, all of it.
Okay.
And so,
Yeah.
but I was just listening to it again, and he talked that he was just like a hellraiser in school and different childhood. His parents would send him to like these military schools, and he said that for so long he was just anti the system. So he would do everything to break all the rules. He accepted the punishment. He wore it as like a badge of pride that all the other students saw him having to be punished. He didn't care. But something happened for him his sophomore year, going into his junior year, that he then wanted to do really well. And so he had to decide. And so that's the question here is, how do you create the environment for your kids, for employees, how do you create where they want to? That's the challenge we're all trying to figure out here.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. I think any manager struggles with that. I think these massive companies like the likes of Google, Meta, et cetera, are struggling with that right now. Like, how do you get tons of people to like adopt, this new system, this new way, et cetera? It's tough. I don't know if I have any of those answers, to be honest, but it takes time. Again, the compound interest thing is really,
it's real.
It's like the best analogy I could come up with, because I have friends that work at Meta, that work at some of these big tech companies. And very much right now, the way to get people to do what you want is fear. That's just what's happening. Like I don't mean that these CEOs or anything are threatening, but like even Brian Armstrong at Coinbase was like, if you are not using AI tools, like you're going to come have a conversation with me. It's basically a threat, effectively.
It means if
totally
you adopt
legal
it, you're not going to be here.
You're not going to be here. And I'm not opposed to that type of leadership, to be clear. Like if you like, it's very much a burn the ships type mentality. It's like, I just think that if that's the only option, fine, do it. Like that's what you need to do. A coach will come into a team and fundamentally changes the structure and trajectory of a team to get them to be champions someday. I'm not opposed to that kind of an idea. But the better idea, usually, the easier, the smoother option is to like build the type of culture that like surfaces these types of behaviors without you having to like, put a wrench into the system basically and like force it to happen. Because when you force anything to happen, there ends up being some casualties along the way and ends up being disruptive and on and on. And it's not that you shouldn't or couldn't do that. It's just that I like to play the long game in a lot of things that I do. Same thing with health, same thing with a lot of stuff. It's like playing the long game is usually a pretty smart way to go.
Yeah. All right. So as we wind down here, I think I could sit here and riff with you for like another hour, but as we wind down, do you think there'll be a place for companies that aren't tech companies in the future?
100%. In fact, I think that there'll be possibly for some types of companies an even bigger place. I think you're going to see like the craftswoman movement explode. I think when you can use AI to fix things, build things, invent things on your own, and then like make them a reality on your own, like you'll have all sorts of interesting opportunities. So I say that interesting. It's like, just because a company isn't a tech company, they can still use tech to do some very, very manual things, right? That, I don't know. It's probably never been easier to make your own jeans at home. Let's just put it that way. Now, do people make their own jeans at home? I have no clue, but I'd imagine that AI could teach you how to make jeans. And so I imagine that people making their own clothing, because people love to be very unique and do super interesting things, is only going to grow, for example, as a trend. I'm sure YouTube will help with it, but also I generally, I think that like this tech is enabling a lot of new business ideas to become even more, I don't know. It
feels like the ultimate leveling of the playing field.
Yes, exactly. I think if I was living in the United States of America 100 more than that one, couple hundred years ago, and I was like going out west, right? There was like you compared to like, I don't know, 700 of the other families going out west. Usually it was like a pretty level playing field. It was like there weren't, if you were really, really smart, you were probably going to stay on the East Coast and run some business or work in finance or something like that. But like for the families that were just going out, it was like you kind of did whatever small version of skill you had and then you built on it. Oh, so maybe you were really good at like being a carpenter. Maybe you knew how to like raise cattle, whatever. And you just kind of like lean into these things and you start this like equal playing field because the access to information was pretty consistent. A lot of these people hadn't gone to school, on and on. I think generally like when information, which is what AI is, right? Intelligence is democratized in a sense. I can tell from personal experience, I have fixed more things. I'm not a very handy guy, like mechanically. I've fixed more things than I ever have in my life. From car issues to treadmill issues to dishwasher issues. I'm doing it myself now versus hiring an expert because I'm like, I don't know, I feel like I can. Why not?
It's the
And
most.
I just think that's fascinating.
Yeah, it's the. It's what I'm trying to eliminate the fear. It's here. People are going to be using it. It just is the most efficient tool I've ever found in my life.
Yeah, 100%.
So I was evaluating. I forget what I was doing last night. I don't know if I was using Claude or if it was chat. I don't remember, but I compared the difference in business credit cards.
Mm.
And
yeah,
we had a conversation for probably 2 minutes about it.
Yep.
Used to, that would have involved Google.
Yeah.
Did I get to the right information? What's market? So it probably reduced the amount of time that I collected more information than I would have previously collected because it puts side by sides. We're doing comparisons, and then even asks you at the end. It comes up with a creative, intelligent question that maybe you didn't ask, like, "Hey, are you interested in this?" I was able to do in 2 minutes that probably would have taken me a half hour previously, maybe an hour.
Yeah.
And if I'm applying that, see, that could be used personally or in business.
Yeah.
And if I'm applying that to my life, what I can do is two things. I can use it to accomplish the same amount of tasks in a shorter amount of time so you can enjoy your life more. Or you can significantly, to your point, compound your learning, outcome, business, and production.
Yeah. I think that there's going to be a huge number of entrepreneurs in the future, greater number than entrepreneurs than ever before. People are going to find ways to start their own businesses, run their own businesses with this type of help. And they're going to have all these tiny niches of expertise. And it's just going to be a lot less intimidating for people to do this kind of stuff because business has always been some version of intimidating and risky. And with this intelligence layer leveling some of that playing field, of course, you're still going to, if you have the tolerance of risk and if you have this natural instinct, then you're going to probably like, that's just gasoline to the fire, right? You're going to do great. But for the people that didn't, for the people that thought, oh, I'm just going to go for the like standard company, 40-year career, not that exists anymore, but the traditional ladder, I do think there's going to be more people starting their own businesses, and they're not all going to be tech businesses, right? I think there's going to be easier ways to discover those people. I think we're going to be buying from more and more bakers and farmers and all this kind of stuff down the road versus just like relying on a grocery store. I don't know. It's my prediction. I think it's very cool. It's very exciting. I love that thought that like there's just going to be more and more opportunity to start these things, and then like, yeah, we'll see. I could be wrong.
So one more question as we wrap up here. I think this is important. Because I haven't heard most conversations get this far. How intelligent do we need to be individually, though, to know how to interact with what AI has given us?
Yeah, that takes a lot of discernment. I don't even know if like how intelligent. I don't know if intelligence is the word in a sense, right? That I would like to use.
Intelligence is just problem solving to me, though. Like if someone would say, "Is that
I see
person
what you're saying.
smart?" It's like, can they identify a problem? Do you know what the truth is, and then do you know what to do with it?
Yes. Yeah. Okay. So I think that it's going to boil down then to like how good people are at being curious and asking questions. And what I mean by that is this: AI is not perfect. It's getting better and better in some degrees, but it's still not perfect. So like there's a lot of people that will like read an AI answer and just assume that it's gospel truth.
That's what I'm talking about.
There's some people that'll ask it to write an email, copy paste the email, and send it, thinking AI is this is the email that I should have written, when it's not. Doesn't even sound like them. Doesn't sound real. Doesn't communicate the thing that they were trying to communicate in the best way that they could if they applied themselves a little bit more. Doesn't mean that you have to be super intelligent, right? But it does mean that you have to like be able, or like you say, problem solve. I said ask questions and be curious. Like don't look at what AI is producing and assume that just because it's very smart, it's better than what you know or understand about something. Like, I mean, I think we can all point to this, but like not all the smartest people in the world do the best in whatever way you want to measure things. There's a lot of entrepreneurs that struggled in school. There's brilliant entrepreneurs that were dyslexic, that barely knew how to read growing up. I mean, there's like, it does not take a genius to like build something super interesting. So intelligence is great. It's fantastic. It's a great leveler, but it does not like guarantee any sort of outcome just because you have the intelligence of AI at your side. So I still think people are going to need to be really curious about like, well, what's the right question to ask? If you can ask it any question, what's the right question to ask? If you can write any prompt, what's the right prompt to ask? And then once you get an answer, you still have to be curious and ask the question like, was this the right answer? Because it's the same thing. If I went out to like my smartest friends and asked 3 of them what I should do about my business, 3 of them would probably give different answers. So who's right? I still have to be the one that like curates all this intelligence and turn it into like action. And so, people, and there's already stories out there of like agents that people with agents that didn't put guardrails and the agents are spending too much money, or the business is saying, oh, use AI, and the business didn't put caps on the spending in Claude, and they're getting these hundreds of $1 million bills at the end of the month because of this token maxing stuff. And people are just using tokens. They're not using them intelligently. They're not being curious about how to use them or anything like that. And so I still think there's a massive amount of human kind of taste and discernment that is needed to like rein and harness the intelligence to productive ends.
See, we need to still bring ourselves to an elite mind as humans. That's my word and my take.
Yeah.
All right, so
Sam
from Snapbar, give us a final riff. Did we leave anything out about the message you're sending, about your branding, about what you're doing with Snapbar? But I think the best format here is to learn who we are as humans. And if they like who we are as humans, maybe they dig into what our business is. But what have we missed? Anything?
Yeah. No, I mean, I am generally not the hard sales guy or the one to say, oh, you should definitely, like, I think that if I said something that someone was like, oh, that's interesting, then they'll go check it out. I love this conversation. I really appreciate it, Mark.
Yeah, man, 100%. Thanks for joining. And we went over a few minutes, but you West Coast folks, you're more laid back anyway.
Yeah, man, I have a Mediterranean lifestyle all the way, about to head to my siesta.
See, there you go. Hey, thanks for joining us, man. Much appreciation.
Thanks, Mark.